Open the computer. Okay, perfect. So I'm here with Celiac Sarah, who's probably way more popular than I am. I don't know how to
No.
gauge that with Reddit and not doing videos regularly or anything like that. I went down into my basement, which hasn't flooded yet, and I grabbed myself some Screwball whiskey. So that's my drink for you tonight because I have a feeling it's going to get a little bit weird. Um, One thing I will say, and I say this to people on Reddit constantly, and they know, and I like every day, I don't watch content creators. It's not that I have anything against them. I just ADD, right? I can't sit and watch a video.
Yeah.
But to prep for this, I turned on one of your podcasts over the last 4 days.
Oh,
So
wow.
I've been listening to you and Pico Burrito and
Hmm.
kind of going backwards. Um, so over those 4 days, I have probably listened to you guys collectively more than I've listened to anybody else combined over the last 7 years.
Oh my gosh. Wow. Thank you.
Um, I think I like the podcast format. I like that you guys have the same vibe that I'm trying to go for. It feels
Mhm.
like there's no script, that you guys are just talking, two nerds, and
Yep.
I might continue listening, so I probably will.
I appreciate that. Yeah, there's no script. I think the only thing we really script is like our uh knowing what segments we want to do. But
Yeah.
I find it's more interesting when you just kind of go by the seat of your pants anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I did one of these and I did it with Kazgul, who's one of the other big Redditors, and I had to do some minor editing
Mhm.
because he had to jump in and out a little bit. And one, I hate listening to my own voice, which I
Fair.
think
Me
is
too.
constant, like that's for everybody. Um, but other than that, I kind of like the idea of seeing where things will go.
Hmm.
Um, I tried to do a podcast with a friend of mine before. He wanted to do a bad books podcast, and we covered
Ooh.
Atlas Shrugged. I don't know if you've ever read it.
I've never read it.
It's
That feels like a bold start though.
it was a bold, bold, bold start. It's like I don't know. I read it on my phone, so I don't know the exact page count.
Hmm.
1,000, 1,100 pages. Um, and we would end up getting into these conversations with four of us on Zoom, and it would go like 2, 3 hours long. And it was, I don't know. He never released it. I have no idea how bad it is, but it was fun to do. And I'm trying to channel that here.
Perfect. I like it. Well, I'm also drinking with you, so cheers.
What is that you have there?
I have a cider. I'm a big cider
Okay.
person, so
So what I think is interesting about that is I hate ciders. I hate them. But as I was listening to you guys, I
mhm.
was like, man, we're so different. Just how we approach the game.
Okay, yeah.
You're constantly talking about, especially now, like the raid and maximizing your raid score and going for the high up boxes. And I'm like, I'm autoing everything. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get 7 million and be happy with it. I could do more. I don't care. Uh,
Mhm.
my guild, we do the 200 box. Nobody wants to do it. Nobody wants to play it.
Really? Do
Uh,
you guys just like you just don't like it?
I I've literally never manualed it, so I've never
Man.
played it. I have no idea whether I like it or not. But I feel like the game is such a time commitment.
Yes, that is true.
Between GAC, between Conquest, between like territory battles right now that I try to find as much as I can to auto
Hmm.
so that I can focus on the things that I have to focus on.
Yeah. That is the one thing that as they keep adding stuff, I'm like, oh, there's more and more and more time in the game.
And that's the I brought it up to some of the other officers today actually because I was listening to you guys. I was like, you two made a great point about possibly pushing for another box, and I brought it up this morning to a few officers in a guild, like, hey, should we like pull it and see if anyone wants to try? And I got immediately shut down, which I think I'm okay with, but
It's funny
I
because
tried.
we literally just now in our officer chat, like half an hour ago, we're like, so we're gonna pull the guild and we're gonna see if we're gonna push.
And
Yeah.
how is it looking? Like positive?
So we haven't actually put the poll out yet.
Yeah,
So
the wording.
yeah, but we're gonna do it. I think it's gonna probably be positive because we're gonna land pretty close to that final box. This is kind of we asked everyone to try their best this raid so we could
Yeah,
see how close we are,
if it's worth it.
if it's worth it, and it's looking like it's gonna be worth it.
I honestly, my whole theory about going for the next box was like, yeah, I could like relic Hera up, and I could relic Rex up, and I could probably get an auto score that hits what I need. But we have guys who don't even hit it at all. They'd rather
Really?
spend $20 on the materials than waste the time playing.
Man, like they won't even auto it at all.
Won't even. We have guys who won't even auto it.
I mean, it depends how much you want to be in game, so that's fair.
I think I don't know. Are you guys more competitive? Like, I think we're competitive casual. You know, we're kind of like laid back, but
That's how we describe ourselves, competitive casual. And then we get matched, like especially in territory war lately, we get matched with guilds, and they're like, oh, we'll see them post somewhere in a fleet chat or anywhere along Discord, and they're like, oh, they're territory war competitive. They're so focused, and we're like, we are not focused at all. Yeah, we like to call ourselves business casual. Like you got to put pants on sometimes.
well, it's not COVID anymore. Like when I had to do
Exactly.
virtual teaching, I'd kind of
Yeah.
go like, do one of those. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah. We did a lot of, I work in, a lot of people know this, and surprise if you don't, I work in news, in broadcast
Okay.
news. So we did a lot of like FaceTime and Zoom interviews and stuff. And the amount of people who forget that their camera is still on when you say, okay, thanks for your time, and get up and walk away without pants on. Yeah.
You go, well, this is a thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I don't know if you watch SNL at all.
Hmm.
My wife loves it. I'll put it on, and I'll watch it with her. Some of those early COVID episodes that they did with like the Zoom and all of the like Kate McKinnon, and all of her crazy antics on Zoom meets.
Yeah.
I think I watch that one like every couple of weeks up YouTube on the TV, and go through whatever the best ones were.
Yeah. It's a
So
whole other level.
when I was messaging you on Discord earlier,
Mhm.
I noticed outside of the podcast, you have two more podcasts that you do.
Yeah. So, I do H&N, and then one is kind of on like a permanent hiatus right now. So Zareth and I started this kind of, it was a Wheel of Time sort of read along thing. I haven't read
Okay.
it, and he has. So it started with that since Prime had picked up the show. Um, and then it kind of morphed into a like pop culture type of react review
Okay.
reaction
So it's not
to
all star.
different.
It's not all like I was like, man, she's like really into this game. Like,
Oh
how do
no,
you?
no,
Okay.
no. No, so we would talk about like different Marvel shows and different like the different Disney Plus shows mostly.
Mhm.
We talked about um House of the Dragon, the Game of Thrones
Yeah.
spinoff. We talked about The Last of Us. Like we talked about a whole bunch of different shows, and then we kind of just put it on pause when I had my son, and we haven't figured out how we
When
want to handle it. Yeah. It's just because like it actually is a big time commitment. I think that's the one thing a lot of people
babies are
don't.
a time commitment, or you
Yeah,
mean the
babies
podcast?
are definitely a time
Okay.
commitment. But you know, when you're doing a podcast, one with somebody who doesn't live in the same time zone as you, so you're
Hmm.
factoring that in. And then you have to watch an episode and then record it. Like by the time we would get around to being done an hour and a half episode, it would take us almost like 5 hours to get it sorted. Yeah, so it's a long, it's a lot of time. So we just haven't really figured out if we're gonna continue that. And
It's worth
then
doing.
yeah. And then we do so H&N kind of has like a spin-off
Okay.
podcast. It's under the same feed called Under the Hollow Table, which Voxen hosts, and I was helping co-host it again before Jasper was born. And I've gone on a couple of times since he's been born, but I've just sort of step back from
taking
it.
a step back from it.
Yeah, that's like the one thing now I'm like, I really want to choose what I'm putting my time into and
Yeah.
be really conscious of that.
So that's like my wife and I were in the process of like, all right, kids, makes sense. We have a house now, we have the room, and it's not my first thought, but one of my thoughts is like, man, I'm on Reddit constantly. I'm on
Hmm.
Discord constantly. She makes way more money than I do, so I'll be the one who's probably at home spending a lot of time with kids.
Right.
I'm gonna have no time for this.
Right.
I'm gonna have to like step back and make a post on Reddit and be like, sorry guys, you get me like once a week at this point, to see how life changes.
Yeah, it is definitely. This was the first conquest that I didn't do any like sector guides for. Because not be I mean, a little bit because we had the baby, but mostly because it fell over Christmas. And I was like, I'm not doing this over first baby Christmas. Like that's not happening.
You don't want to do that
Um
at your in-laws?
yeah. You know what? They probably would be like, yeah, no problem. Go upstairs.
'Cause I was at my in-laws and I
Yeah.
was like, man, and you know what? I'm gonna record myself full autoing the first phase of territory battles. I don't
Mhm.
care. You guys
Mhm.
are watching Christmas movies, great. I'm gonna watch them too and just sit here and look up at my screen every couple minutes. I know you guys, I love you guys, doesn't matter. What are we
Yeah.
doing?
Oh, I was there just before Christmas and my mother-in-law, I fully am doing the raid. And my mother-in-law was like, "Did they fix it so that the screen doesn't scroll for you?" I was like, "Nope, I'm still
No,
getting a
no, they
headache."
don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care.
So they would not care at all if I did it. I just didn't want to put that added pressure on myself. And at first I felt a little guilty and I was like, I can't feel guilty. Like you got to create that
Yeah.
divide. I will say, uh, in terms of time in game and like with the baby and everything, he sleeps a lot. So you can get
So
a
it makes
lot
it easy.
done. Yeah, you can get a lot done while they're sleeping.
Well, that's the other thing too. I was listening to you guys and I was like, holy crap, like you're doing Conquest on two different accounts. I
Hmm.
can barely, I always read Crate. I always go through it. I consider myself fairly efficient. I battle track to some extent to kind of see how we went from 90 battles to a red crate to now. I think it took me 265 battles this time.
Hmm.
And I'm like, how the hell is she going through and spending all of this time doing it twice?
Yeah.
I
I I have the same strategy on both accounts. So I will do the same thing
Yeah,
twice. And like down to a T. If I go in and I'm like, okay, I need to do one Mando win, one Ewok win, one first order win, whatever it is, and then I switch accounts. I'm like, okay, I gotta do one Mando win, and I do the exact same on the exact same
same.
nodes. Yeah. It's the only way
See,
I can stay sane.
I can't like for me, my ritual during Conquest is I wake up at 5:45. That's not a Conquest thing. That's just I wake up early.
No.
And I lay in bed for a half hour doing all three of my refreshes, much to like my wife will wake up and be like, your screen is too bright or you're sniffling. Get the hell out of bed. And I'll just get it all done right there and go on
Mhm.
with my day because I just, I can't deal with it. And when you have to do your Ewok wins or your first order win, whatever it is, like, yeah, I'll log in to
To
get my
space
three or
it.
my four, but
Mhm.
I want it all done. I want to rip the band-aid off and be completely done with it.
Yeah. I I think what has also ended up happening a little bit is I was in such a ritual with having to manage stamina on the second account on Professor X because you just didn't have like all the tools. And now that account has absolutely exploded that managing stamina is not a thing
It's
anymore.
not as much of a problem.
Um, but because I'm so stuck in my ways with my pattern, I'm like, oh, I have to manage stamina. So I have to be very particular about what I'm doing. And it's not a thing.
I feel that with like the tracking that I do. So I track like the end game farm. Everybody has their own. I know you try to stay away from Reddit for the most part, but like everyone
Hmm.
has their own like conspiracy theories. And I've
Yeah.
spent years, not that I'm a CG apologist, I am very critical of them. but I spend years saying like, hey, the game is fair. Like, there's nothing going on behind the scenes. And some mornings I wake up and I'm like, I don't need to track this anymore. I don't
Right.
need to go into Notepad anymore, but I still do it just
Right.
because my brain doesn't know any different. It's like, no, you have to. That's part of your routine. That's your ritual.
That's part of how you play the game.
That's part of how I play the game. And I played the
Exactly.
Lord of the Rings one for like 2 months and I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
get into it. But even then, my first day, I was like, all right, let me pull up Notepad. Let me
Mm-hmm.
track my farming here. Let me track my farming there. And I had no reason to do it,
Yep.
but it's just that brain process.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so you might laugh at this because I know you track all of this, and I'm sure you are completely against this conspiracy theory. And I don't know if you've gotten this far in our podcast where I've said this. I'm gonna just go out on the ledge here. I significantly notice a drop rate change if I upgrade a ship or a character past 6 stars. So if I'm out of the 100, like left
So
to go when I'm farming.
So I actually, it's fun. I was talking to someone on Reddit about this today, and people like tag me. They're like, "Oh, Egnards, this guy, get him,"
Yeah.
um, because people post it all the time. So I had this conversation literally hours ago. Um, I think it started around when Bad Batch came out,
Okay.
is when I started tracking endgame farms. So I tracked it as anything under 75 out of 100 as like
Mhm.
my baseline, 75 to 90, 90 to 95, 95 to 100.
Okay.
Between I think 10 accounts, 120 to 150 farms, over 100,000 data points.
Okay.
There's no difference.
Okay. Because every
There's
time
no difference.
I'm telling you, I literally had this happen today. I'm sitting at 98 out of 100 on the Marauder and nothing dropped. I'm like, this, it knows. It's not giving me what I want, and it knows. So a lot of the time, people are like, oh, where are you out of this? And I'm like, oh, I'm at 155 out of 85 shards.
Yeah, I haven't hit the 6 star yet.
Yeah, I'm not
I
upgrading it.
I think, for me, I I guess I have to not the Egnard's persona because part of the reason I'm doing this is, show people like this is me. This is who I am. I'm not acting. Who I am is who I am. Um, a big part of what built what people expect of me or the persona that now is not just a random player and is somebody that like people put stock in was that conspiracy theory. Like that
Right.
was the start of it. During COVID being bored and like let me just start tracking these things and people who think like that I kind of owe this to them,
Fair.
but I think we've thoroughly disproven it at this point.
So I
And
should like stop feeling guilty when I hit the upgrade
you should
button.
you should stop feeling guilty. I mean, you
Mm.
when I make these posts, people are like, "Oh, stop telling people how to play how you want to play." And I don't care how you play. I'm just telling
Right.
you what the facts are.
Right.
So if you want to do that, that's fine. Like if that's the ritual, that's great. I wear my Broncos sweater every single Broncos game because I'm convinced they'll win, even though they won't. So I've got my conspiracy theories, but we've figured that one out at this
Yeah,
point.
that's not one of them. Yeah. Fair.
We have other ones. We're doing Chirotech now to see if there's a drop rate change based on like 1 versus 3 sims versus 10 sims. Somebody suggested to me how many drops you get if it's a first refresh or a second refresh or a third refresh. So I've been tracking that. Like I have a notepad that
Mm,
just goes down and it takes so much time every morning.
that would be interesting. Like if the drop rate changes based off which refresh it is.
So far,
The
I
answer is
see
no.
no change, but
Yeah.
it's very little data.
Right.
So who knows? I
That's
just
fair.
started that like 2 months ago. So the point, this is the beauty of this is like we go off on these tangents, but the point of asking about all these other podcasts and assuming that
Mhm.
they were Star Wars related is as I was driving to work every day, I was like, she's not going to want to talk about Star Wars content. Like, how do you talk about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes constantly and then go, hey, can you come chat with me and chat more about the game? But what I was really interested in, I think you've already semi-answered the question, being in news, so you kind of have
Mm.
like the setup and going into podcasts and videos. I think what's always interested me is influencer culture, like the idea
Okay.
of like how to. I, I grew up. My older brother's 10 years older than me,
Okay.
and I remember like I would knock on his bedroom door, right? I'd hear him playing video games. He'd be playing like Tomb Raider, and I'd
Mhm.
knock on his door and I'd be like, Chris, can I watch? And sometimes he'd say yes, and sometimes he would say no, right? And so like I'm the prime candidate for Twitch and I'm the prime candidate for YouTube and like wanting to like these things,
Mhm.
but I feel like I can't get into it. And I'm just curious what brings somebody to that
So what brings it like somebody
as
to
a
that
content
like
creator, I
starting?
guess. Like to say,
Um,
"Oh, hey, I want to do this." And
so it's actually so it started when H&N started. Um, and I didn't necessarily want to do it. Uh, like I never thought of the idea. And then the alliance I was in at the time, they put a post out saying that one of the other members was planning on starting a podcast, and if you wanted to be part of it or help or whatever, to message him. So I had sent him a message, and I had originally started. My intent was I can help you in the background because while I work in news, I'm not an on camera person. And I realized while I was in school, I was like, I actually hate being on camera. Hilarious now. Um, and I much prefer the behind the scenes. Like I did a lot of video editing, I did a lot of audio editing, and I wanted to do that. And I was like, if you need help like editing it, I'm your person. Like this is what I do. And that's kind of how it started. And then I went on an episode, and then I went away on a vacation, and the the listeners that we had were like, "Where's Sarah? Like, why wasn't she on this episode?" So then I just kind of kept coming back. And it's just sort of morphed. Like it kind of just snowballed from
so it
there.
grew. So I should be afraid for myself, and because I've always been text. And
Right.
then I think it was maybe 2 months ago that I had, as a joke, I don't even remember what the post. I was like, "Hey, like if this gets 100 likes," which I never do. Like because it was a stupid post, right? Like I'll eat like really hot wings, and it did, and people started like badgering me about it. So I bought like the wings of death, like whatever that I
Mm,
don't remember what the show Hot Ones. I bought their sauce, and I did like a little video where I was answering questions while eating these wings. And I was like, video is fun when it's organic and when it's what I want to do
yeah.
versus like being a personality and yelling and screaming and trying to produce content rather than saying, you know what? It's fun to reach out to somebody and say, "Hey, let's have a drink and let's just chat for a little bit and see what happens." So what you're saying is I should be scared and I should be worried because it's going to become this constant thing that I need to start doing this.
It literally just kept going. And then I do actually just genuinely enjoy it. And I've always had the type of personality that I do like to help people. So I get I would get a lot of DMs, and people would ask questions, and then the servers kind of grew, and then um people would message me the same way and be like, "Hey, can you come on our podcast? Can you come and talk about this?" And
So I'm
it
not
just
special.
sorry.
It's fine.
So it just kind of kept going, and yeah. And then the YouTube thing started, and that was a wild ride.
Okay. So yeah, because what happened was at first I started this project and I was like, you know what, let me just talk to players and have fun and I've had some great conversations so far and we talked about a lot of different things and Hasgul is probably the most famous person that I talked to because he's a Redditor. And you're the first like more I don't know if more important personality is the right word, but like more prominent personality, like somebody who actually is in front of people. I was like, let me see if she's interested in doing this and going from there and having a conversation. And I was actually very surprised. I was on my lunch break. I was messaging and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, great. Eastern time? Perfect. I don't have to like wake up at 6 in the morning. This
Yeah.
is wonderful. But I was surprised. I've always there's always like this barrier, right?
Hmm.
And I don't think celebrity is the right word because in gaming culture, I think it's different. But there's a lot of people do view you guys in like this hierarchy. And
Right.
and I get it sometimes where people are like, oh, all hail Egnards. And I'm like, shut up. I'm doing fourth grade math. All of you can do this, like
But
it's easy.
that and like that's the thing. Like for me, I literally said today in our guild chat, someone brought up math, and I was like, don't, just no math, please. Like absolutely not.
Nothing I do is hard. People message me and they're like, oh, have you tracked the differential quadratic linear equation? I was like, dude, this is fourth grade, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Calculus, I failed that. Like,
Yeah.
explain it to me. Okay.
But I do get what you mean, because it is that idea of like there's a barrier, and I've always tried to be approachable.
Yeah,
So um yeah. I don't see the point in gatekeeping anything. Like that's my biggest thing is it shouldn't matter what GP player you are. If you want to try your best in whatever game mode, why should I keep something from you that
right.
could help you get there? Like that's stupid.
That's again, it goes back to like I get messages on Discord constantly. I'm again, I'm sure you get more, but like I do roster reviews and like I talk to
Mhm.
people and like I help them out and sometimes I'll see messages from people that are like, "Oh, he's an asshole. He's blah 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 this," and then I'll get other people that I'll message back and they're like, "Holy shit, you actually answered me." I'm a teacher. Like I'm not anything special. Like if you Google my actual name, nothing's gonna show up. Like I put on my pants like one leg at a time, and uh, so I try to get out of that, and I think that this is
Yeah.
part of that. But going back again, tangents, but so I guess a couple of things that I kind of either ask other people, but I wonder about is Star Wars Galaxy Hero is a very different type of game. Like mobile
Yes.
games, I don't play. It's the only mobile game I play. I play nothing else. I
Me
hate
too.
mobile gaming. I don't know why I play this. Did you grow up a gamer? Is this just like, oh, it's Star Wars? Is it
I grew up a gamer in the sense of like I played video games like on consoles. I never played
okay?
mobile games. I was like, oh yeah, I have Tetris, I have Plants versus Zombies, and then I
Great
would
game.
go right, exactly. And I would go in waves where I would play a game for, like 2 weeks. I'm like, I'm bored of this, and then
Okay.
be done. Um and then actually, when I started playing Star Wars, it had been out for almost a year. I started in October of 2016.
Okay. So you
And
started a little before me, slightly before me.
okay. So, and I didn't take it seriously at all. Like there were days where I just didn't even do my dailies. I didn't start taking it seriously until Territory Battles was released. That's when
Okay.
I was like, "Oh, I really would like this." I don't know what it is about Territory Battles that's different in terms of PvE content compared to like a raid. Um, but I
Are you an
really enjoyed
officer?
it.
Do you
I am.
for that? Do you do territory battles for your guild?
I did before Jasper. I still do it like a little bit, but I'm much more hands off on it now. Like
Okay.
significantly much more hands off on it. But I would basically, if Territory Battles was on in game, I was basically not sleeping because I was up constantly. Like I would move the deployment around. I would,
hmm
yeah, yeah.
I
So
think it's become easier since Rise of the Empire. I'm very
yes,
laid back since then. LSTB, like that's exactly what I do. I'd
yes.
like put into my spreadsheets, but
Hmm.
okay, we can deploy this to 200 million, but then we
Hmm.
have to stop, and it was a nightmare.
I would track exactly how we did every single phase, like how much GP we got if we weren't at the full max. I would track who failed cam. Did you stream cam? Like I would be in game constantly refreshing the little scroll, obviously before they changed the officer tools. And I would know if you had deployed a cam squad and if you had failed and if you hadn't streamed with me because I was the sole
You
streamer
were
in
the
our
one
guild.
person.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, so you failed for the third month in a row without streaming with me.
What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
We were the same way.
Mhm.
I hated it. I don't know if I still hate it. It's so much easier now
It is. I
with
think
the
now there's sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It just has way more overflow now.
yes. I think with it being more deployment based, I'm
Yes.
more relaxed.
Mhm.
And with it being 24 hours, I didn't like it at first because I was like, oh crap, what about platoons and then giving people time for combats and then doing that? I can do almost every combat on auto without platoons,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
So I'm at a point where at the beginning of a phase, I release a message that says, "Hey, this is what you do first. This is what you do second. This is what you do third. Tag me after third. I'll do one more message at night,
Hmm.
and then whatever happens, happens." And it always works out. Like I dummy proof it,
Right.
but it's more forgiving than Geonosis was.
It is significantly more forgiving. And I think it is that it's more deployment heavy. I think the fact that you can deploy everything together just makes it all that was the one thing I noticed with this map specifically. And I remember pointing it out to people was the amount of overflow that happens when you're deploying that trickles through the rest of the map is the difference between a couple of stars if you're managing it properly. And a lot of people don't manage that properly, but if
No,
you can, you can make up a good chunk of rewards.
I think that's where we do well with territory battles and just because I'm so anal about it, right? And I have somebody that helps me, but like
Mhm.
deploy to this, deploy to that, do this, do that, do whatever. So even though our raid score isn't as great and our territory wars, we're doing good, but mostly because a lot of people just don't even join, right? So
Right.
we get paired with like lesser guilds a lot of the times. Where we shine is in the battles and people who join us and are new to us, they'll message me after. I'm like, oh my God, you made this so much easier than anybody else. Now, the way that you kind of handle things,
Yeah.
but I still do have PTSD to those early days.
And like I think the other thing too is what I enjoy about territory battles is it's so consistent. So you know this node is the Reek. This node
Is this exact thing?
is the Mara Jade node. You know that this node is the um crosshair node with the troopers. Like you know which one is which, you know which team works. Um and you just go in with that and repeat what you did 2 weeks
You didn't
ago.
like the old Geo way of like, well, like you'll find out.
Yeah,
This
maybe.
might be easy. It might be hard. I don't know. Good luck.
Yeah, it is when you go in and you get smited right away, you're like, oh, okay,
I did
that was
that
fast.
last month because I mean I'm going through this process where I'm trying to like find every team that can auto different nodes
Hmm.
just to like help people, right? Like just press start and go. And my night sisters have been like amazing. They can
Yeah.
auto something in every single phase. They can auto brainworms. They can auto brainworms without platoons in day four. And I had made a video against the sortie team, like
Okay.
the bots in phase four, and literally the battle opens and then everything's dead, right? Like it's like, hey, you're here, now you're
That
dead. Goodbye.
that is nice.
It's well, not on my side for
Yeah.
them. I had sent the video to a guildmate. I was like, well, it doesn't work. This one doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work here. But that's like an important one to check too, because I have noticed that phase in particular, I'm like, this is not so nice without the platoons done.
Well, I had done that specific one. I had because I have a friend in the guild who built up his Night Sisters because I told him like, hey, they're amazing, like they're so good.
Right.
And he had asked me, and I said, I'll try it because I mean it'll make content that I enjoy making because it's low effort and I just see what happens. And it even with 6 to 6 platoons, 10 seconds,
Oh, geez.
like literally the opening wave, everybody dead,
Oh
just
man.
the whole team gone. I was like, all right, great, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
It
Don't
works on
don't
everything else there.
don't repeat here.
Don't do that. Don't.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Fantastic. At least you know.
Well, that's the whole point, right? Like you like to help people. I like to help people. I'm trying to find options for people that are easy for them, and a lot of it is Galactic Legend based, but trying to find things also that don't use my Galactic Legends without also
Hmm.
using all of my signal data because that's always a rare commodity.
That's the big thing that I get, especially when I'm planning specifically for Conquest of how to do feats. Once with usually like once the data mine comes out, and I get a ton of people are like, "Well, you could just use Lord Vader." I'm like, "I know, but not everyone has Lord Vader." Like that's the so now
That's the whole thing.
I've learned now. I'm like, if you have Lord Vader, use Lord Vader. Look at this team though. That's not Lord Vader. Like it's just I feel like it's just more relatable if you can just dumb it down. And if you have a better team, use a better team.
Yeah. And I have all of those, right? But like that's the
Mhm.
same thing. Like I'm like, all right, let me experiment now. Oh, my territory battle score sucks. I mean, we still got the star. Who cares?
Exactly.
Um, Lord Vader to me, Conquest is like he's just under Jedi Master Luke.
I 100% agree.
He
Jedi
uses
Master Luke
amplifies.
is the king of conquest.
Lord Vader, if you have Amplify Agony, if I usually I
Mhm.
use three of them,
Yeah.
right? If I use them, I can get any kill feat. I can beat any node. It doesn't matter. It's easy. I know he's a pain in the ass to get. I know Bad Batch or Cryo like hogs, but worth it to me.
It's actually funny because he was the before Leia came out, he was the last GL that I unlocked. Because I kept pushing him off. I was like,
Mhm.
I would start him and then I would get distracted by something else. I was like, sorry, back burner for you again. And it's still to the point now in Conquest that I forget that I have him. I know. And I'll be like, oh yeah, I could use Lord Vader here. And I'll just go through. But yeah. But
I think for Conquest, I use Lord Vader for the most part. Like like again, I was listening to the podcast and you guys saying, "Oh, I forget like these guys and I forget like those guys," and I'm like, I use Lord Vader. I use Kenobi when I just don't want to deal with the shit on this node, right? Like
yeah,
if it's
Padme
Old
node.
Republic or like a
Mm-hmm.
Padme node, I'm like, I don't want to deal with your shit. I don't care about feats this time. Fine, I'm gonna
Kenobi
use
comes
that.
out.
And I use Jedi Master Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else just kind of sits at the wayside. I mean, Leia right now because the Rebel wins, but
Right. Yeah, I always it's actually funny because I will reach for my Inquisitor team more than I will for Lord Vader. Um,
if you have third sister, right, then
yes. It basically does the same thing as Lord
it's the
Vader.
same exact, yeah, the
Yeah,
same exact idea.
and I think it's just been so burned into my brain because we had so many months of Inquisitor feats that I'm like, oh yeah, we need Inquisitors. Oh, we don't really need them, but they're good.
This time I was like, oh wow, I don't need to get 400, 600 purge. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with those three battles.
Right. Just just 300 stagger.
It's 300. It's fine. I
Yeah.
could never get any of those big stagger cheeses to work for me because I use so
Mhm.
many Amplify Agni that
Yeah, you got to take it off, which is
yeah,
annoying.
I wasn't gonna like, oh, just hit crew. And I was like, well, he has one health left after my turn. He
Yeah.
dies.
Doesn't work here. Yeah, I always leave those ones for the end because I do the same thing. I build like the amplify agony so I can get through it as quick as possible. And then when those type of cheese things are necessary, I'm like, okay, we can take agony off now because I won't need it the rest of Conquest.
That was my plan this time. So I
Mhm.
was like, all right, I'll just do that one last. And then I found a cheese with Jedi Master Luke and Vet Han and just calling him against Phoenix. And I was like, you know what? I'm just
Mhm.
gonna do that for 4 or 5 battles so that I don't have to take Amplify Agony off. And then
Right.
I ended up not even needing the Piet and who was it, Stark.
Oh,
So I was like,
okay.
great, I'm
Yep.
not doing it. Wonderful.
The
Don't care.
the 100 kills.
Yeah.
Oh, so you
I
didn't
might do
even
it
get the consumable.
deployable. No.
Oh.
I haven't used that since Ben Solo when it was I don't know if it was Ben Solo. I think that's the one where they track like you if you did 175 battles, you got it.
Hmm.
Whichever one that was the last time that I used deployable.
Man.
I, I'll probably do it next time if
Yeah.
Ewoks is bugged and it's supposed to be 40.
Right.
because I'm not doing 40 Ewok kills. It's just the pain in my ass.
No, it takes it's yeah. I'm hoping it was a
I'm hoping.
well, I shouldn't say I'm hoping it was a text error and not a
Yes,
bug. Like it's actually a 20 and not a 40.
that's what I've been telling people. I'm like, it's clearly bugged, but it's whether it's text or programming. That's what we're about to find out. Because that
Exactly.
big
So,
graphic is the data mine, right? So like we don't
right.
know yet. We'll find out in 2 weeks, and that's when I'll hate life for another like 3 days during those first couple of days.
But you can do the Piet and Veer's kills in one battle.
I've seen like Mon Mothma.
You do it on the dash node, the mini
I tried
boss.
it and it wasn't working for me, and I got frustrated
Oh,
and said, "Fuck it, I'm just not gonna deal with it."
oh no.
I know, like people were messaging me in guild. They're like, "Oh, just do the dash thing, do this, do that," and I was like, "I'm killing them too fast. They're just dying." Um,
Mm.
but I mean, I'm not because I finished 4 days ago. I
Oh
have
yeah, so
plenty of
you're not,
time. Like it's not a big deal. I
yeah.
do finish things quickly enough. Um, so pushing away, maybe, I don't know, pushing away from Star Wars, right?
Okay.
I see you got this big Funko Pop collection behind you. I
Hmm.
noticed the BB-8. I noticed like Star Wars stuff. Talk to me about like nerd culture outside of Star Wars.
Ooh, outside of Star Wars. Okay. Um, Big Disney fan in general.
Like Disney
Like
princesses style or like you know what I mean? Like there's a
yeah,
different phases of Disney
like
or
like Disney,
overall
like animated Disney, like like The Lion
all of
King
their
is my
movies. Okay.
absolutely. I have Simba
So the
tattooed
so the
on
live
my
action was a no-go for you.
uh I didn't love the live action. I think the thing that I like with the live actions is like the newer songs.
Okay.
But I usually just don't like if I'm gonna watch The Lion King, I watch the
I'd rather
original.
watch the cartoon. I
Yeah.
have not found a single live. We go to the movies every weekend, so
Hmm.
I see almost everything that's big.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a single live action that I like so far.
I I will almost always put like the original on
Yeah.
before a live action. Um, yeah, I just like them way more. Big, like really
Harry
big Harry
Potter.
Potter fan. Also have I have a couple Harry Potter tattoos. Um,
I think that's so I'm also big on tattoo culture, right? Like
mhm.
I get them constantly. That's one thing that I would like to get something, but I
Star
don't
Wars
necessarily
related.
know what to get. I don't have anything Star Wars, but Harry Potter,
Ooh, okay. So I have like the I don't want to say like stereotypical, but like the Hogwarts
right?
castle
Hmm.
like profile. And then I have a scene from The Tale of Three Brothers, where the death is greeting the youngest brother and he's giving the cloak to his son. I have that
Okay.
tattooed. So those are my two hairy ones, and I do want a third. I really want a bow truckle. Don't ask me why. I just really want a bow truckle.
Sometimes you're just like, I don't know.
Uh, I just want it. Um, so I have a BB-8 tattoo, which I know
Okay.
we don't want Star Wars, but that's
No, no,
that.
that's fine. It just because I feel like I'm sure you talk about Star Wars constantly, and I'm
Mhm.
constantly on the subreddit talking about Star Wars, right? And we're talking about the game and going on, and whether it's new or not, I don't know because there's no
Mhm.
way I'm getting through hundreds of episodes of HNN and
Yeah,
in 4 days. But the idea is let's move outside of our space and
yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, big into Harry, big into Disney, and then I do enjoy like a lot of sci-fi fantasy, just in terms
okay.
of shows and books. Like loved Game of Thrones, loved The Last of Us. I mentioned earlier I'm reading Wheel of Time. I'm still reading that because that's the longest series ever. Um, it's fine. It's
I don't
fine.
think I've read Wheel. Which one? Who's the author of Wheel of Time? I get like three different series
It's
confused.
it's Robert Jordan.
Okay, no, I
And
haven't read
then
Wheel of Time.
Brandon, he died before he finished it. So
Hmm.
Brandon Sanderson finished the last
Fix it up.
three
Yeah.
books. Yeah. So it's 14 books, and I just finished book six. It's slog.
I I don't know. I feel like I should love sci-fi books and like
Hmm.
fantasy books.
Hmm.
Like in theory, again, it comes down to like I'm the perfect candidate for it, but whenever I read them, I feel like the names of places and people
Yes.
are
Yes.
so ridiculous that I just can't connect. So my brain just tunes out.
I can 100% agree with this. I also, and I'm a little frustrated with this in Wheel of Time. A lot of the names are similar.
Oh
I'm like, can we
gosh,
just throw in like a Jack or something? Like,
just
we don't
something easy.
need, like, you've changed one
Yeah.
letter for me.
Like this is everybody has an S name. I don't understand
Right.
who is who.
Like, give me some variety, please. Yeah, so it is that I 100% agree on that.
I've
I
joked with my
like it.
wife. We like low effort reality shows, right? Like
Okay,
The
yeah.
Bachelor, 90 Day
Mhm.
Fiance. We love watching them. It makes me feel better about myself. I know it's not real.
This is why I watch them. I'm like,
Okay,
I
good.
feel
So I'm
better
glad.
about myself. I don't feel like a fuck
There,
up.
we watch. I love them. Like
Yeah.
the one that was on Netflix. What was that? The Ultimatum. We watched it. I
Oh,
loved
yeah.
it. And I had joked with her that in the living room, which I'm sitting in now. Normally I'm in my office, but since she's on a business trip, I'm like, oh, I can use the living room. That we need like a serial killer wall with like the like red tape and like
This
the
escalated very quickly.
no. But we need like a whiteboard and like red
Right.
yarn. And when we're watching a show, just so we can track who is who, because I
Right.
don't know.
Right.
She'd be like, "Oh, I like Christy and Jefferson is great." And I'm like, "I don't know who those people are." You mean tall
Yeah.
guy with beard? Like, yeah, tall guy with beard. He's great.
Right. Right. You're like, I know the one that's crying in the corner. Was it her?
Yeah,
Like,
one who's crying in the corner. Like
yeah.
that's her. That's who she is.
Yeah, I totally agree. I used to be really good with names on them, and now I'm just like, I don't know your name. I'm sorry. I know I like you, but I don't know your name.
You know, the one,
Yeah.
that one that I like. I'll say that to her. I'm like, the one that I like. You know, the one that I said last week.
Yeah.
Who is she? I don't remember her name.
That's perfect. Yeah.
We're on a big
Totally on board.
we're on a big 90-day kick right now, and we've been like for birthdays and Christmas, we'll buy each other cameos from like
Okay.
the people on 90 Day. And then we'll get like secondhand embarrassment, so we don't want to watch them. So we'll have to get really drunk and then be like, all right, let's go watch Caesar's video. And it'll be like an 8-minute video. And we're like, oh God, why did we buy this?
Oh man. See, so my husband hates reality TV. Like
Oh,
he can't stand it. But
missing out.
I know. But then every once in a while he gets sucked in. And he knows he's getting sucked in and he hates me for having him get sucked in because then he'll just be like, wasn't he? I was scrolling on Instagram last night and he's like, isn't he on that show that you watch? I was like, yes, he is. You know this? Okay. And he'll get invested. So we he absolutely can't stand like any of the Bachelor type
Oh,
shows. I
Golden
know.
Bachelor. Did we
I know.
watch?
I know.
Oh,
He can't do it.
but did
He
you watch it? It was great.
I know. I know. It's just I feel like that one was on another level, just in its own
It
little
was. And I
world.
love that it was like 45 minutes each episode and not
I
like
know.
4 hours. I was like, this is wonderful.
Right, where you have to like commit your
Your in
entire evening.
is to The Bachelor. I'm like, this is
Mhm.
so great. Gary, like I love him. He's amazing.
Yeah, no. So he gets sucked in on like Big Brother and things like that.
Okay.
And then,
So he likes reality shows, just not the dating shows.
right, he wants to see like the bickering and people being idiots
Yeah.
and
So
all that
it's
kind
the
of
same
stuff.
thing. He wants to feel better about himself, and it's just not
Totally.
dating. It's Big Brother.
Totally. So, yeah, it's the reality binge is definitely a thing that happens.
Okay. All right. I talk to people about it and they go, "What? Why?" And I go, "I know
Oh
it's not
man.
real. I get it. I understand. I'm not
No.
stupid."
Have you watched The Traders?
No.
Oh, okay. So it is so it's not like dating and whatever. It's like a game of obviously. But all these people get picked in, and there's people from Big Brother and people from all these other reality shows, and 3 of them become traitors, and they know that they're traitors. They don't know who the other traitors are, and the idea is that every night you kill, I should say in quotes, you're not, they're not really killing people.
Again, serial
Yeah,
killer, right?
right.
Like this is taking a turn.
They kill a faithful. And the idea is that the faithful, the people who aren't traitors, is they have to try and figure out who the traitors are. Because if you get to the end and there is a traitor amongst you, they get all the money for themselves.
Okay.
And you
So it's
want to
like
be
the
able to
mole
split.
back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That
But
also reminds me of
much
F
more
Boy
fun.
Island, and if you haven't seen F
Oh,
Boy Island, it's amazing.
that's a good one.
That one we binged in like a night. We're like, this is a train wreck. Let's watch it.
That's exactly it. The more of a train wreck it is, the better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. F Boy Island, that was good. This last season, I was like, man, you guys are a disaster.
This is messed up, right? And now they're doing another one, but it's on like basic cable. So I'm like, I don't
Uh,
know what to expect. It's probably
yeah.
going to be bad, but I'm
It's
I'm
gonna
I'm there for it.
gonna be more censored,
It's a shame.
sadly. I know.
What tickles me when I do these things, I'm like, man, like maybe there's a couple people watching and they're like, oh, let's hear stuff about Star Wars, right?
Right.
And let's hear about being nerds. And then I'm like, oh shit, well now we're talking about The Bachelor, which to me, which to me is funny, right?
Right.
Like that I enjoy. Like it's hilarious to me.
It's just a tangent that I feel like
That
people
you
won't
just go
expect.
off on, and if you're not watching The Bachelor, fucking do it.
Right. I don't see any problems. So yeah.
No, we're fully in the ultimatum was amazing. We're fully in the 90-day ecosystem. We
Mm-hmm.
watch all of them. Big Ed, we've gotten multiple cameos from him. He's just on a whole nother level. Um, we're there for it.
Oh man. We did Love is Blind. That one
I couldn't get into that.
I got him hooked into that one. I think also just because you can see, especially since the first season, it's become more train wrecky.
Okay.
So
See, we only watched the first one. I couldn't get
mhm.
into it.
The first one, I was like, oh, you guys are so serious, like not serious in a bad way. I'm like, but you're taking this seriously.
Like
And
you shouldn't.
right. And I'm like, I can commend you for that. And then as the seasons go on, you're like, oh, you're just here because it's TV. Okay. Now we're getting there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's we watched the earlier seasons of The Bachelor, not earlier, but like before COVID, right? You'd be like, oh, she's
Right.
here for Instagram. He's here because he wants a modeling contract. It doesn't matter. I'm here. It's great. Let's watch it. It's
Right.
wonderful.
We've got the popcorn. We're set.
The way that I always saw it, even before I like got into it, I was like, you know what? It's like date night, right? Like we'll get a bottle of red wine and we'll sit down and we'll order a pizza and it's just fun.
Right.
I don't need to believe that anybody's falling in love. It's just fun.
Right. Exactly. Whether or not they do, whatever.
It is what it is. And then I'll get like we'll be sitting on the couch and go, "Oh, Charles and Hannah broke up." And I'm like, "Who? I don't remember them.
Yeah. You're
I
like,
don't, I
what?
don't know. They're out of my mind now.
Yeah. They're not on the TV anymore. They don't
They're
exist.
not there."
Yeah. Oh, I completely understand. Yeah. That is another one. If you really like trashy, this is
100%.
Are You the One on MTV?
Is it so? I'm what Peacock probably is that or Paramount?
Um,
Probably Paramount
Probably Paramount.
because
Um,
we don't have cable. We have all the streaming.
Probably Paramount then. Um, like for in Canada, it streams
Oh, that's
on
right. Because you guys,
on
it's
yeah,
totally different with
we're they don't give us the good streaming services here.
they're not good.
So yeah.
They're not
Um,
good.
but the idea is they take 20 people and they stick them in a house like 10 guys, 10 girls. And the idea is that they have figured out who your match is and you have to figure it out to win money.
I think that
Um,
was a thing at some
and
point.
it is just the trashiest trash. Very entertaining, but
That's all I need. And I'll look at it tonight to see if it's on there, but we're on that last season of 90 Day. So once that's done and we have nothing left, like, hey, this person suggested this show to me, and we should watch it, and
Yeah.
we'll try it out. We'll see.
It might hit. I have found that I have a few coworkers that also really like trash reality TV and watch it with their wives. And they all have loved Are You the One?
All right. So I'm gonna hold you to that. So like in
Okay.
6 weeks, you're gonna get a message on Discord that's like, I gotta tell you,
It's just
this was
trash.
great. Like I loved it. 10/10. I'll recommend this to anybody.
Yeah, it's got the mix of the dating show and the competition aspect with just trash.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
You'll feel better
understood.
about yourself, and that's the goal.
Yeah. My cats are telling me it's almost feeding time. They're like,
Um,
it's like that hint of like, I know it's not time yet, but
mhm,
like just to remind you that I'm here.
mhm. My dog does that. She'll just stand like right by her bowl. I'm like, you're 2 hours early. You can chill.
They're both fatties. So they're like, no, no, you have a half hour, but like
Yeah.
just so you know, just prepare, just
Yeah.
reminding you.
Get the bowls ready. Yeah.
Get them going because we're good to go.
Yeah, I understand.
They're um they're actually confused by me being home because I'm not normally home this early. So they're like,
Right.
what are you doing here? This is our time. We rule the house.
Hmm.
I don't understand. So I actually expected more cameos from them, but pleasantly surprised by just one.
They're just yeah, they're waiting though. I will say my dog, she when I went on mat leave, so in Canada we get
Much more
um
than us.
much
Yeah.
more. So I've been home
Hmm.
since like March something. Um and at first she was very confused, and now I think it's become her norm. So I'm like, oh, when I go back to work, you're
She's
in
like,
for a
where?
rude awakening.
So March, we're in January now. Do you get a
Yeah,
year?
we get a year.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's lovely.
Yeah. You can take up to 18 months. They've changed
Mhm.
it, but you only get paid a
For the 12.
year's equivalent. Yeah. So you can
But
either,
still,
yeah,
I every state I think is different, but I think like when that eventually happens, it'll probably be like 8 weeks, maybe
right.
12. Like it's not anywhere near what is sufficient.
Right.
And my school might give me 4 to 8 weeks if I'm lucky.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It is. I've talked to a few people in the States about it, and I'm just, I mentally would not have been ready at 12 weeks
Yeah.
to go back to work. I don't even think I was functioning at 12 weeks still. Like,
Uh,
it's such a swing in your complete routine and everything.
It is. It's very different. It's the same, like it's like the free world, right? Where like everything is fine, but it's very different in terms of mentality and like government structure and
Mhm.
uh um having a not a backbone, but like a support system.
Right? Yeah, that's a big thing.
We don't have that.
Oh,
We don't have that.
oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
It's what it is.
It's life.
It's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah. That's the crazy thing. So,
So, all right. I know we talked like 4 days ago, right? 5 days
mhm.
ago, and we joked about it. We're like, oh, hey, we both go like super long, and I'm gonna sit here, and I'm gonna press pause on this, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is the longest one I've ever done. Um, and I know that we promised each other that we would go quick, right? We'd be like, oh no, we're
Right.
gonna hold ourselves accountable, and I didn't do it for you, you didn't do it for me,
I did
and
not. I'm like,
sucks
I
that
haven't got the he's awakened text yet. So,
this is nice. I don't have my kid with me.
yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is really great. I'm like in a house alone and actually talking to people. So we didn't do what we aimed to do. But what I want to do is I want to thank you for actually doing this and saying, hey, this crazy guy who is like back and forth on Reddit, and I've maybe seen 3 or 4 of his posts. I'm gonna spend an hour of my time with him. and see where it goes, and putting your trust in that, in that respect. And I'll give you the last words, but I'll end it after that to spare you more than me, because I'll sit here all night. I've got plenty of beer. I got plenty of alcohol.
You're set to go. No, I'm so glad you asked. I love talking to new people, which is hilarious because I like to think that I'm an introvert, but
Me too.
no, no, I was really excited. So I'm really glad you asked, and it was tons of fun. I have seen lots of your posts because you are significantly better than me at figuring out like the ROI in this game. And yes, you can hit upgrade past 6 stars. It's
You can.
fine.
You can do it.
So I have referenced your posts multiple times where I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw this on Reddit. And I do try to avoid Reddit because it can also be its own reality TV show, I think, at times. But I think you do a really great job at dumbing things down for people like me. And
For me, like it's
yeah,
not hard math. It is for me.
hey, you say that, but I'm not gonna say it on here because I'm not gonna publicly embarrass myself. But I'll tell you a math story after real quick. It's hard. Yeah, so yeah, you do a phenomenal job. And I think like I see your name mentioned all the time of posts to go read. And Egnards has done the math on this already.
All right, you're supposed to plug yourself. You plugged
Oh,
me.
oh, sorry.
There was no script, guys. For
There's
the
no
12
script.
of you watching, there's no script. I didn't ask her to say that.
The plug myself. Okay. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. And we've got the H&N podcast, which is everywhere. It stands for Holotable News Network, so you won't find it if you search H&N. You will find it if you search Holotable News Network, though, which comes out every 2 weeks. Sometimes we do a bonus episode if there's a lot of news. And then YouTube is a lot of Conquest content. And then I do Create Expectations with Zareth every week, which is a half and half show. So it's half on his channel, half on mine, which also has no script and gets completely derailed half the time, more than half of the time. But yeah, that's pretty much where I am, and I'm on Discord all the time, all the
Okay.
time.
So basically what I'm hearing is yes, I again, I said maybe, but I probably will be listening, especially because your podcast is on Spotify, and that makes it easy for me to listen on my commutes, and not have to watch videos.
Mhm.
Um, you actually put effort into the game where I don't put any effort in at all, and I teach people how to not have any effort in the game. So you're definitely better for people who maybe aren't 11 million accounts and able to just throw shit at the wall.
Mhm.
Um, so probably the better resource for things like that than I am. With that, I'm going to close out, because just like I did last week, I literally said the same thing that you did. And I said, hey, I'm going to tell you a story right after I close this out, because I'm not putting it on camera. So I'm going to close out and I'm going to hear that story. Right. So Ken, thank you. And I'm going to just find that button.